Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Free Feminine Podcast. If you are new here, this podcast is where we talk about all things femininity, womanhood, and lessons learned along the way. I believe my last episode was regarding emotional regulation to femininity. If you'd like to check that out, I'll leave it linked below. But let's quickly get into this topic today. I don't want to waste too much time, but I do feel this is important and needs to be said because it's a topic I feel is often avoided in this space, and the women that do speak on this often get backlash and hate, which I find interesting because it's a very real thing and it happens every day. And I just wanted to share my story and my experience with it in hopes that this resonates with someone who's listening and that you understand this is not a game, okay? And these things happen, and if you try to pretend like it's not going on or this isn't the way that it is, then that's on you. But women like me and, even men, this is not just for, I don't even want to title this just for women. This can go for men too. This is unfortunately what you got to deal with, and pretending like it doesn't exist is quite honestly stupid. No offense. Anyways, so the great big deception, essentially, because there's facets to this. And, I kind of had my doubts about filming this, and I was initially going to shelf it for a different week, but I figure, why not? This is something real that I am experiencing in my life, and I feel like I want to share it. And this is my platform. So I want to do justice to my story and the people that watch by sharing it. So how many of you women watching to this podcast right now feel like you have a solid group of friends? And I'm talking like you have multiple friends that you can trust 100% all the way around. Right. So you get what I'm saying. The foundation of sisterhood is not built on anything of substance for the most part. And I'm sorry if that offends some people. If you have one solid friend, this is not for you. 1 to 2 solid friends, this is not for you. And if they're real and solid, click off this video. But what I'm saying, and I need you to understand, by the way, before I go any further, I would like to mention the Level Up Guru. Please, if you have not checked her out, please check out her content. She makes all sorts of things in regards to the realm of, being vigilant and aware of these things and not pretending like they don't exist. And she's not afraid to talk about topics that other people get hate for. So I love her for that. And this particular video is based off of the women ruin friendships or something like that. And the thumbnail says bye bye sisterhood. Anyways, a lot of female friendships are based off of convenience. Yes, you heard me right. They're not based off of any depth or any shared goals or even common interest. Just because you like to party every weekend does not make you compatible friendship-wise, ladies. I'm not here to tell lies. No, I'm here to tell my story and my truth and my experience so that we can all benefit from it and other women's experiences. As you know, I gain more viewers, hopefully, that other women will be willing to come on and share their stories, and men too. But what I have experienced is nothing short of humiliation, and a lot of women will put others through a humiliation ritual. And you can say that I sound crazy, and this may not make sense to you, but I don't care. This is me being raw and honest, and it would be a disservice to not share my thoughts. So, a humiliation ritual, what is it? It is when you intentionally put someone in a situation where you know that they will be publicly embarrassed. And so because there's no depth in friendship and there's no depth in real sisterhood anymore, you have the fragility of the female ego, to where if you are doing something with yourself, if you are a woman that likes self-improvement, or you like the femininity space, you're gonna get hate. Be ready for the hate trains, ladies, because that is offensive nowadays, and it's so sad to see. It's just like fake. It's all so fake and phony, and it does make me upset, because why can't women just coexist and be, uniquely, divinely guided in their own ways? Well, because that's just not the way it works. There's this illusion of female sisterhood that never existed, okay? The mean girl never went away. She just got older and got in a management position. That's the real honest truth. The mean girl never went away. She just got better with her tactics. She's more covert now. And a lot of you have mean people right in your bed, like in your house, in your living room, that don't care about you. And it's so sad, because that's something that I feel a lot of women want, is a connection with another person that is a woman. And it's just, there's a female loneliness epidemic. Okay, there is a female loneliness epidemic. I am proclaiming that. I do not know if there are stats, but just judging from the women that I know personally in my life and what I've seen, a lot of women don't have any friends. And if they do, they have associates. Now, I say associates because, like I stated, not most of female friendships are superficial. Oh, you're gonna go out with me. Oh, you're gonna go shopping with me. Oh, you're gonna be there for me when my man does me wrong and you told me what to do, but I'm gonna stay anyway. Or you have the, oh, I don't have time for you anymore because I just started a new relationship. So really, those are associates. Those are people that essentially it's a networking companionship, if you can even call it that, because you're only there for the benefits. How many of you can relate to people in your life who are only there because they are getting something out of it? How many of you? And you know what? Like I said, the fragility of a woman's ego. Some people have such fragile egos that seeing another woman in her power and her light and pursuing her dreams and actually having ambitions, oh, you're a threat now. now we can't be friends with you. You know, now we can't associate ourselves with you. And it's just really interesting. Like I said, I came on here to talk about this because I feel it needs to be out. And I don't know who is struggling with this right now, and you probably feel like you're doing something wrong. You did nothing wrong, sweetheart. This is the way it is, and people don't want to talk about it. There's this push for the girl's girl trope, and I myself, you know, bought into the beautiful illusion of the girl's girl trope in the girl's girl space. But really, it's just a space to provide false sense of security for women to feel like they can show up authentically. And when you do, you get bullied out of being that way. And so you shrink and you hide, thinking that that's going to solve the problem and that you'll suddenly have female companionship. But you never will. I mean, you'll have associates. You know, there are some women who can't even invite anybody to their wedding as far as friends. And I think that's really sad. I do. Being that we should be able to uplift each other and to be okay with another woman's, you know, success, her ambition, her differences, her uniqueness, and not feel like that's a threat to our personal psyche. But women don't think like that, do they? No, they don't. In fact, you know, I always say I can tell I can usually tell when a woman isn't feeling very secure about herself when she begins to either pretend or look through you like you're not there, or peacocking. So that's gonna be pulling your man closer when someone walks in the room, constantly flipping hair, you know, sighing or verbally making, you know, gestures like dismissive gestures, or just being awkward and weird. And I like that the level up guru, Mel, she mentioned that social awkwardness is a real thing in the female community, because there's so many women that don't realize, like, you look jealous or you look envious when you do this, or you just look weird. Like, they're unaware of their nonverbals and unaware of how that is coming across to the general population. You look like something's wrong with you. And a lot of women weren't taught how to socialize. Let's talk about parasocial relationships for a second. When you think that you know someone based off of a 5-6 second clip or a season of a show, and you think you know this entire person, and so now all of their actions somehow deeply affect you, that's weird. Okay, that's not normal. And I don't want the tone of this podcast to come across as condescending. It is simply raw. It is real. And not everything that I post is going to be necessarily inspirational, but it is going to be something of value. I'm dropping knowledge. I'm dropping things that other people are scared to talk about because it's not popular within the general population. It's not. But that's okay. Because I feel like the more we have these conversations, the more that it will become common knowledge, and there will be less instances of false friendship. But I know, and that's why I'm making this video for other people to learn from that. So, you know, another humiliation rituals, right? Inviting women out to humiliate them. Yes, you heard me right. There are women who have lost their lives over the illusion of sisterhood. And that is absolutely devastating, right? Condolences to these beautiful women, Valeria Marquez, Shanquella Robinson. There are many other women who just are gone now because they thought they had that and it wasn't real. And that's another thing. Women, we can be great actresses. Great actresses. You can smile in somebody's face with a Kool-Aid smile and dislike every single thing about them. That's actually psychopathic. But it happens every day. It happens every single day. And it's like this loneliness epidemic in the female community is because of the lack of self-awareness, the lack of knowing when you're coming across as rude, or the pretending to like someone when you don't because of convenience, because of proximity. Instead of being a woman about it, a grown woman, you're not a baby, and saying, look, I don't think, I'm not really where I want to be in life, or I'm not really comfortable with your place in life and how it makes me feel. And it really shines a light that I need to do better. And I don't like that. So I'm going to distance myself from you. That's all it takes. But I don't think most people are going to have the guts to say that. So instead, we're taught to be polite and to save face and to lie. Just better. Just better and more covertly, essentially. And to smile in people's faces with a knife behind your back. Real talk. For me, I never really had a crap ton of friends growing up. And I remember when I did have a group of girlfriends, they all turned on me. Not every single one of them, but women are very influential. And if one woman doesn't like the lesser, weaker link, which is oftentimes the more softer, passive, feminine woman, is seen as a weak link, she gets targeted, and the rest of the women will blindly trust what this queen bee has to say. And that's what happened to me. I'm not saying that I was perfect, because no one who walks on this earth lives in perfection. That is why Jesus died for our sins. But I am saying that was the experience of mine and so many other women who are scared to come forth with their stories. And that's another thing. I wasn't really going to touch too much on it, but I'm tired of dancing around it. Beauty is currency, especially in this digital age. Unfortunately, looks mean a lot to a lot of people. And so if you don't have that look as a woman, you feel inadequate, which you shouldn't, because looks are not everything. If you have nothing to share, to contribute to society, that isn't everything. But unfortunately, there's this perception that it is now, and everyone's trying to focus on that when it's quite honestly a empty pursuit, in my humble opinion. Beauty is currency. So we all know the saying our moms used to say when we were growing up, oh, she's just jealous of you, honey. Don't worry about it. She's doing that because she's jealous of you. You know that's real. You know there's truth to what your mom's saying, right? Unfortunately, feeling the weight of not meeting those standards can cause some women to lash out in the form of fatalities, backstabbing, setting up humiliation rituals. Now I'm not necessarily saying that's the case all of the time, but it happens more than you think, especially in the workplace, which is why I in those situations tend to tone down everything, because I don't want anyone to have an inkling of a notion that I'm trying to be queen bee. And I know that's sad to say on the podcast, but that's just me being real. Or in situations where I feel that I will be perceived as stuck up, I will try to shrink myself. And I know this is hypocritical, because I just talked about this in the last video of stop trying to shrink yourself in the dark feminine. I'm sorry. The part of the reason why I mentioned that is because I too had struggled with it. And as I get older, I'm turning 24 this year. I am tired of that. It's exhausting. It's really exhausting. So, convenience, proximity, and just being weak. It's pathetic, honestly. It's really pathetic that as a grown woman, you're not even able to see how this comes across. You don't get it. And we wonder why there's not a lot of female friendships. Men, when they have a problem, they solve it, they voice their grievance, and they move on, or they just cut their losses. But women, we have this allegiance to a sisterhood that doesn't exist. Why? And if more of us were okay with being our own best friend and stop feeling like you're such a loser because you don't want to put up with people who don't have your best interests at heart, and every time you get around them, you feel low energy, that's a sign of energy siphoning. Or you feel more insecure when you're hanging around a person, that's a sign of energy siphoning. And you're going to call yourself the lame because you can see that and you feel it, and you'd rather ignore it and put yourself in situations that could potentially unalive you. I'm sorry. This is the truth. I need you to understand, watching. This is not a game. I almost don't want to bring a daughter into this world, because I will have to teach her all of these things, all of these unspoken rules that Western society dances around and sweeps under their pretty little manicured lawns and rugs. I wish I wasn't having to come on here and film this video. I wish I didn't know about these things occurring. I really do. I wish I didn't have the knowledge to see through this. But unfortunately, I do. And that's just what it is. Reality, when you meet it, isn't always a pretty picture. But at least you can move better, move smarter, and not get played. Okay? Because I know you're tired like I'm tired. You're tired of shrinking. You're tired of hiding. You're tired of being the scapegoat for someone else's inadequacies. Their insecurities are not your problem. It is not your problem. Okay? I want you to know that that girl is not your friend. In fact, everything you thought was right all along. And the only reason why it's still occurring is because you're still there. Leave now. Especially if you're in your teens or early 20s like me, life is way too short to be staying in situations that don't serve you. Okay? I told my little sister everything that I learned so that she doesn't have to hopefully go through these things that I do. And unfortunately, I know that that's not a guarantee, because my mother made sure to equip me with everything I needed to know before I got out into the world. And yet the mistakes still are to be made and have been made. Why? Because we're just hard-headed. You're hard-headed. And Mom always says a hard head makes a soft butt, which means you fall flat on your butt and then you learn. It's a Southern saying, but it's very true. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way. Yeah, the false illusion of sisterhood. It's not real. And we hide it behind this facade of girl power and girl improvement. And that's another thing. That whole girls improvement, women empowerment space is literally just a space in hate men. And when did this become content? No, yeah, it's content. Legitimately, just because you have unresolved issues with your sexuality, yes, I said it, because if you don't like men, then you like women. And just because you have had terrible experiences with men doesn't mean that we're just going to make content hating men. Go hate men in peace, in private. But now it is a niche. And I too have consumed some of that stuff. You know what it did? It warped my mind. And I'm glad that I stopped consuming that type of content, because it wasn't doing anything good for my psyche. Like, have we all had heartbreak? Yes. Any adult in this world at some point or another is going to encounter some form of heartbreak, whether romantic, platonic, familial, whatever. But that doesn't mean you have to now make that your personality of monetary gain. That's what we're doing now. And I don't like that. But hey, there's a lot of things that could change, and a lot of people that may disagree, and they love that stuff. And great. Like I said, if you don't like men, you like women. Protect yourself, ladies. Be vigilant. And trust your instincts. A lot of us ignore them for the sake of social acceptance. I know that I hit someone, and I know someone felt that, but it's okay. I get it, But you can always meet new people. You don't have to put up with that. It's so freeing when you realize that this is your life and you do have a say-so. You have a say-so, okay? You don't have to listen to anything else if you don't want to, or anything I even said in this video. But just know that if you are in a situation where you know that you feel unsafe or unprotected, please leave. Don't waste any time, because that could save your life. And how can we build real relationships? Base them off of goals. People who have common interests. Not because you thought she was also pretty, not because you both live in the same apartment complex, because that doesn't constitute friendship. Friendship, like relationships, are built off of good and bad and shared goals and values. If you don't have those, you shouldn't be in a friendship dynamic, period. You shouldn't. You have no business in it, because it's going to lead in a very unexpected direction. Some not in your favor in some cases, ladies. So just don't be desperate to have somebody just to have a woman in your life, because there's plenty of beautiful, smart, intelligent, secure women out there who want friendship too, because there's such a lack of it. So don't shy away from exposing yourself to new just because you know that that's what you are seeking. That's what you want. You want someone who is at the same place as you, even spiritually. Because as you ascend in your spirituality, the devil will throw little wrenches in your path to try to knock you off, to try to place seeds of doubt in your head. So be mindful of that too if you're religious. If you're not, I'm not talking to you. But just be mindful of that. This hail as old as time. You start getting into, ascension in your spirituality, and boom, some tumultuous something happens. It never fails. Anyways, I think I'm done here. I think I'm going to wrap it up. I hope that this video and podcast sees the light of day. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully the next one will be a bit more lighthearted, but you know what? I want to take this channel in a more raw, real, uncut direction right now. And I feel you getting that version of me will help serve both of us. So I'm just grateful for the support nonetheless. Don't let the tone of this video deter you. We are here to help each other along this journey of life, both men and women. I know I specialize in the feminine space, but this is for men and women. Men just don't get a space to talk about stuff like this, and I understand that. But I'm gonna wrap it up here, and I hope you have a great night or day whenever you're watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.